All right. So once again, found a bunch of random students sitting around so I can have my audience. And here you go. Once again, at least 10 personnel. So according to an article in Forbes magazine from August 2013, the top 5 teams in college football preseason poll last year totaled approximately $300 million in revenue from the 2011-2012 season. One team outside of that group, the University of Texas, actually accumulated $104 million in revenue on their own. In the last 25 years of my life, I've essentially lived and breathed football, college football, professional football, but my focus today is on college football. I'm your typical, what they say, Monday morning quarterback, right? Armchair quarterback, things along those lines. All right, and I've also done some research as far as revenue sharing goes for this speech. The NCAA, throughout history, since they got established, said that their whole goal in life was to maintain the credibility and the integrity of the game, right? So, unfortunately, I think they've used that excuse for far too long. Because when they initially got started, that was probably the idea. But now, and especially the last 15, 20 years, college football has become a multi-billion-dollar business. Again, multi-billion-dollar business. And that's like annually. That's not even, hey, in the last 5 years, we've made $1 billion. Annually, they make multiple billions of dollars through college football and all other NCAA sports. So what I feel that should happen, and I believe you will as well, is the fact that these players that are essentially the ones making this money for colleges and the NCAA in general should receive some kind of fair payment rather than just saying, hey, you're getting a free education. All right? And in order to do that, to level this financial playing field, as I like to say, I've come up with 3 steps to at least begin this process. All right? Those 3 steps are, 1, for us to start with paying for play. The player should get paid, right? Second thing is to then limit the benefits that non-players get when you start comparing the players with non-players. All right, and then finally is to stop calling these college athletes amateurs. So right off the bat, talking about pay for play. According to an ESPN report, in 2008, the Ohio State University generated $115.7 million in revenue. Of that $115.7 million, only $13.1 million went towards tuition for the student athlete, or as they say, student athlete. So right there, you can see that is a just ginormous difference between what the school made and what they give back to the students who essentially made that money for them. Because everybody does pay to see those athletes, right? It's not, hey, we're going to pay, nobody's paying $15,000 or $1,500, I'm sorry, to watch some kid do a daggone chemistry experiment in the classroom. They're going to pay that $1,500 to see Jameis Winston lead Florida State to a national championship. All right? So, in order to do that, another way that we can go about paying these players and a way we can try and level that field is paying for play. One way to do that is with a salary cap type of system. You can sit there and say, all right, we're going to pay these athletes for how much they play. Like, or they're standing on the team like a freshman or sophomore, junior, senior. A senior typically is going to make more than a freshman because that senior is more than likely playing more than that freshman. And in the separate cases of a Jameis Winston or Johnny Manziel, those freshmen that went out and won the Heisman, they right there should obviously be making more money than that junior or senior that's riding the pine behind them that never sees the field. All right? The impact they have on the team, that should play into how much money they're going to get paid. All right. As well as that, you also have your boosters out there that cannot give these athletes money. So the boosters should be allowed to also provide benefits to these athletes. All right, moving on from pay to play, you also you talk about limiting what non-players get. Those non-players, you start talking about you're just normal students. They get told, hey, you can go out there and make all the money you want to, regardless of, however that is, obviously within legal means. But as soon as you put that athlete status next to them, they have all kinds of limitations that get put on them, saying, hey, You can't basically have a job making more than $1,500 a month. So again, that financial playing field is drastically different. Now, you have your coaches. They're not players, but a coach gets paid $1 million a year, depending on who he is, possibly $4 or $5 million. And then they also have endorsements, and then they have their speaking engagements and all these other things that they can go about making money. But again, as soon as you're labeled an athlete for that school, you can't do any of those things and make any kind of extra money. All right, moving on from that, you start talking about the amateur versus the professional. They label these athletes amateurs. Let's call them what they really are. They're professionals. Everything they do is set for them in a scheduled way. You're going to wake up at this time. You got practice from this time to this time. You're going to go to school from this time to this time. You're eating here. You're eating this time. You're eating this time. Everything they do from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep is essentially scheduled for them, just as if they're a professional. They make money for that school, just as if they're a professional. But none of that money goes back to them because they say, oh, you're an amateur. You can't make money doing this. So once again, that needs to change as well. In conclusion, what I'm talking about here is trying to level that financial playing field for the athletes in the college levels. We could do that again by going through pay for play, using limiting the benefits that other people get that are not players, and then also finally getting rid of that amateur title that is put on the athletes in the college ranks. If we are able to go through and do all of these different things, then we would finally be able to level that financial playing field and get the NCAA to essentially stop treating athletes at the college level as if they're indentured servants. Thank you.